Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to today's Explainer. Our goal today is actually incredibly focused. We are going to map out the practical, day-to-day infrastructure of modern journalistic verification. We're looking at exactly which organizations, which networks, and which specific tools are out there supporting professional verification work both globally and across Europe.
Right off the bat, we are going to completely bypass all those abstract theories. We're not here to debate the grand philosophy of information, right? Instead, we really need to establish the core thesis of this explainer, which is that verification is a highly tangible supply chain. It's a living ecosystem of connected networks, specific digital tools, newsroom dashboards, and actionable professional standards. It is literally the physical and digital infrastructure that journalists are relying on every single day to get the facts straight.
So to make sense of all this, we're taking a journey from the macro level right down to the micro. We'll be hitting 4 key areas today: regional networks and standards, the newsroom ecosystem, verification tools and systems, and finally, training and media literacy. Let's get to it.
All right, let's move into part 1 and see how this all builds, starting with regional networks and standards.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is looking at who actually coordinates the research and sets the rules of the road. On a global scale, you have heavyweights like the International Fact-Checking Network, or IFCN, the Poynter Institute, and the Global Fact-Check Fund. They're the ones setting the professional standards and building the capacity for cross-border collaboration. Then if we look specifically at Europe, this effort is driven by the European Digital Media Observation, or EDMO, alongside various European Commission initiatives that connect researchers, media organizations, and fact-checkers. But standards are just words on a page without enforcement, right? That's where institutions like the European Fact-Checking Standards Network step in to coordinate strict methodologies. And on the ground, regional platforms like Teyit.org and Doğruluk Payı in Turkey are doing the actual heavy lifting. These independent nodes are absolutely crucial because they build up local capacity and conduct cross-platform public fact-checking, often in highly polarized environments.
Let's move right along to part 2, the newsroom ecosystem.
Okay, so zooming down from that high-level regional map, we are landing directly into the workstation view. This is the actual newsroom ecosystem, where dedicated desks are driving these verification operations every single day. We're talking about specialized hubs like BBC Verify, Reuters Fact Check, AP Fact Check, and AFP Fact Check. This also includes incredible open-source investigation units like Bellingcat, who use advanced geolocation and satellite imagery to verify events in real time. And if you look at the research covering major newsrooms like BBC World News and Al Jazeera English, you'll see their daily verification basically breaks down into core repeatable practices. We're looking at source verification, cross-referencing, contextual analysis, verifying user-generated content, and multi-source confirmation. It's not just a simple true or false checklist. It's about evaluating complex relationships between sources and analyzing contextual indicators within a really chaotic digital environment.
So how do these newsrooms translate all those broad practices into a strict, repeatable workflow that doesn't just buckle under breaking news pressure? Well, they use this 4-step logic. Step 1. Identify exactly what needs to be verified. Is it a quote, an image, a video snippet? Step 2. Select the appropriate tool for that specific job. Step 3. Apply the verification method practically. And finally, Step 4. Decide. This is where human editorial judgment comes in to determine what is solidly confirmed and, honestly, just as importantly, what still remains uncertain. This structure is what ensures journalists aren't just guessing, they're following a rigorous, transparent methodology.
Which brings us perfectly into part 3, verification tools and systems.
Let's focus specifically on the actual tech sitting on that investigative desk to execute that 4-step logic we just talked about. Journalists today rely on highly specific multimodal tools. Take InVid WeVerify, for instance. That's a go-to for video keyframe extraction and reverse image searching. Then you have Jeffrey's Image Metadata Viewer, which handles forensic metadata analysis, so a reporter can see exactly when, where, and how an image was captured. For the newer threats, there's Deepware, which handles deepfake and synthetic media detection. But it goes way beyond just analyzing single files. Desks also rely heavily on the Google Fact Check Explorer and Claim Review for finding structured claim metadata alongside systems like FullFact AI for scalable AI-assisted claim monitoring.
Now, you didn't think all of this was just manual searching, did you? Under the hood of many of these tools are some pretty powerful AI-assisted techniques. Natural language processing, or NLP, is used to rapidly extract claims from massive blocks of text. Computer vision handles the multimodal analysis, comparing visual data against spatial and temporal information.
And then you have topic modeling alongside knowledge graphs, which are used to map exactly how specific narratives cluster and spread across networks. These underlying AI systems are absolutely essential because they provide the structured metadata that human journalists need to process these massive, fast-moving datasets without getting completely overwhelmed.
Finally, let's wrap things up with Part 4, Training and Media Literacy.
Let's zoom back out for a second to the bedrock foundation of this entire ecosystem. And this brilliantly illustrates a key point. Absolutely none of these fancy tools or massive networks function without the educational resources that sustain them. We have to bridge the gap between complex software and practical journalism. Resources like the UNESCO Verification Handbook and various multilingual interactive coursebooks provide practical crisis reporting frameworks, decision trees, and newsroom workflow simulations. Organizations like EDMO and Pointer are heavily pushing these educational initiatives into journalism education and media literacy programs. Because look, it's just not enough to hand a journalist a deepfake detector. They need practical, scenario-based training and checklists to actually know when and how to use it, especially under the massive pressure of a breaking news deadline. That training is what builds real professional resilience.
So if you take away one thing from today, let it be this exact quote. Verification is not a single tool or institution. It is a collaborative infrastructure of networks, standards, technologies, newsrooms, and educational resources. From the global standards set by the IFCN, down to the InVid plugins sitting on a reporter's browser, all the way to the training manuals that taught them how to use it, it is all one deeply interconnected ecosystem. And the question I want to leave you with today is this. As these digital tools inevitably become more complex and automated, how will this ecosystem adapt to ensure that human editorial judgment remains at the very center of the process? Something to think about. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, and I'll see you next time.